Astro's Playroom is a tech demo of sorts and comes pre-installed on the PlayStation 5 ready to play. I say sort of a tech demo because the game isn't trying to push the visual limits of the hardware, instead it's trying to convey what the new Dualsense 5 controller is capable of. And yeah, it knocks it out of the park. Before we go any further, I need to say that this review will do a bad job explaining what it feels like to play, or why it's so satisfying, because the Dualsense controller is the first of its kind. No other controller has felt like this to use before, and if this is how good it is on their first attempt, or the first generation, then we have something even more special coming in the future. Astro's Playroom is a third-person platformer akin to Mario, or in my opinion it closely resembles the Clank sections in Ratchet & Clank. The two aspects that make Astro unique is that everything is PlayStation themed and the integral design decision to use the Dualsense controller. You play as an Astrobot, again imagine Clank from Ratchet & Clank, and you're tasked with going through and completing the 4 worlds. These represent each of the PlayStation consoles. The game starts you in CPU Plaza, which houses each entrance to the different levels. You'll make your way over to one of the entrances, let's say Cooling Springs for this example, which represents the PlayStation 3. Now, you're let loose in the first of 4 stages. The first thing you'll do is look around and see what it has to offer. Most will have an impressive view pointing you in a direction, whether that'll be the game's currency, which are coins, an enemy to fight, or an Easter egg. For Cooling Springs, you see some coins in front of you, so you go and collect them. Then you notice there's an enemy in front of you. Take care of those guys, and you could see a collectible or maybe a cameo, such as Kratos and Atreus from God of War. What makes Astro special and nostalgic for people who grew up with a PlayStation or have played games for a long time is running across these cameos and getting the "I know that one" moment. It's a fantastic feeling and never gets old throughout the 4 worlds and roughly 4-hour runtime. So, collect coins, fight enemies, do basic platforming, and find collectibles such as puzzle pieces, or these gold chests which have PlayStation items in them. The incentive to find all the collectibles comes from your hub area of sorts, which gets filled up with the more stuff you find. Coins are also used to purchase additional puzzle pieces and items. Filling up this room is as satisfying and as fun as you could imagine. What makes this even better is almost everything is interactable and a joy to play around with. Once you think you're done with this stage, you can move forward onto the next area. I'll keep with the Cooling Springs world for this example. The next area you'll find one of the 4 different suits to use. This time it's a frog, but there's also a ball, a spaceship, and a monkey, each having their own unique and interesting design. Now, you'll go through the second stage with the frog suit, collecting coins, collectibles, etc. Do this loop twice for each world, and that's what the campaign has to offer in terms of content. Once you finish a world, you'll unlock the ability to speedrun any particular area. What makes these speedruns fun and not repetitive is that the stages here are uniquely designed and not just ripped from the main worlds. There's also a leaderboard showing you how well you've done compared to the rest of the world. Okay, that's most of the gameplay out of the way and what you'll be doing throughout the campaign. It's quite basic, but has just enough options to keep it engaging, and the length of Astro never outstays its welcome. Now, let me tell you how the Dualsense 5 elevates the entire experience to something spectacular. The Dualsense 5 is incredible, and I truly believe this is the beginning of a new generation of controllers. Every controller released from now on will need to have the feature set Sony offers here, that predominantly being haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. Because of the haptic feedback, just walking around in Astro's Playroom is so satisfying. Every surface feels different to the next. Sand constantly sends out little vibrations, while metal feels heavier, and the improved speaker within the controller also helps to sell whatever you're making contact with. This also extends to when you're swimming or walking in a puddle. When your left foot touches the puddle, you'll feel the far left side of the controller vibrate. I can't do this controller justice by explaining how it feels to use, but my god, you won't be disappointed. Next is the adaptive triggers. These are a game changer for shooters or melee focused action games. There's a minigun towards the end of one of the levels, and the feeling of using that has shot the new Ratchet & Clank game to the top of my most anticipated games list. Every time a bullet is shot out, the adaptive triggers pushes back a little bit on your finger and rumbles the controller. I know for other shooters, the trigger will actually jam when the gun is out of ammunition. But because of the adaptability of these triggers and what is being shown here, it's reasonable to think that every gun in a shooter can and will feel different to the next. Imagine how a heavy shotgun will feel compared to an SMG. If you want more proof of how good these work, look up videos of the controller playing the new Black Ops. It's incredible stuff. But it's when these two aspects of the controller work together is when they're at their best, and this happens with the astronaut suit. Flying around feels amazing. It's easily the most satisfying thing in the whole game, and I could do it all day. Honestly, it sounds silly and not convincing at all, but you've got to try it. I 100% believe within the next year, Xbox will release a controller to compete with this, because if I owned both consoles, I would never buy a game on Xbox over the PlayStation just because of the Dualsense 5. If you've been watching the footage play so far, you probably noticed how cute this game is. I'm in love with the art style and all the little animations the characters have when you interact with them. Whether it's when you punch Solid Snake's box and he jumps out, or seeing Kratos get angry for a second, it's all great stuff. Astrobot's idle animations are also fantastic, and the dancing gets me every time. The game's sound design is also as high quality as you'd expect. It honestly sounds like you're listening to a Pixar film. And what surprised me the most is how great the updated speaker inside the controller sounds. In the DualShock 4 it sounded really tinny and hollow, but here it's quite crisp. It's about as high quality as a good phone speaker these days. As for any great tech demo, this ran perfectly. I had no frame drops or crashes, and thanks to the SSD, the loading was near instant. Astro's Playroom is not only a great tech demo, but is also a great game. Unlike other launch titles in the past that have the best graphics at the time but no depth to gameplay, it's quite fitting that Astro's Playroom is the opposite. The raw graphics here aren't amazing, but that's not what it's trying to achieve. Astro is trying to provide a fun experience and a quick look at what to expect with the Dualsense 5, and they succeeded with flying colours. This has got to be one of the most fun experiences I've had with a game, and I urge everyone who boots up their PS5 for the first time to play Astro's Playroom before anything else. You will not be disappointed. Thanks for watching my review. If you liked it, maybe think about subscribing. I'm trying to release one video per week at the moment, and if you've watched my previous video, I said this would be about the PlayStation 5 and Astro. Unfortunately, work was really busy this week, so I ran out of time, but the PlayStation review will come at a later time. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you guys later.